Welcome into Mac and Mose. Andy McNamara with Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. We're here to preview Oregon's upcoming Pac-12 matchup on the Palouse against Washington State. This was a big game last year for both teams. It's sort of, for Oregon, it I guess jump-started in a weird way, the way that they pulled things together and finished the season. For Washington State, a 9-win season for them, springboarded by the Oregon victory. And this is, for whatever reason, even when Oregon's been a top 25 team and Washington State's been kind of at the bottom of the Pac-12, this matchup never seems to feel comfortable going into game week.
Yeah, you can't forget, 2 years ago, the performance it took for Marcus Mariota for Oregon to pull out a win in Pullman. And that's with a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback behind center, having to play at his very best, 21-25 that day. Last year, obviously, Oregon's quarterback situation, Vernon Adams was hurt. Cougs come in here and win in overtime. Just a huge confidence booster from that for them. But a lot of line for Oregon. All that history aside, this Oregon team 2-2 feels like this season's kind of at a crossroads, right? This week and then the Huskies next week before the bye week. I think if anybody told you they could predict what Oregon's record would be two weeks from now, they'd be fooling themselves, because it's just so much is up in the air right now.
I think preseason, both of these teams were expected to at least be contenders in the North. I don't think anybody, there weren't that many people that pegged either side to win the North, but contenders. They come into this one, Oregon's 2-2. Washington State is 1-2, their lone victory coming against Idaho. They had a bye week to prepare for the Ducks. What do you expect to see from Washington State? I know that, obviously with Mike Leach as the coach there, the air raid offense, everybody's expecting a pass-happy offense once again. They ran it against Oregon last year. I think they're going to run it again this year.
Yeah, I think you look at the success a team like Virginia had. They've got some air raid stuff in their offense, and they ran it between the tackles, kind of like Washington State did last year with some success. You get a team thinking you're going to pass 75 times. I still fully expect them to throw it 65 times or so. But you spread the defense out to defend that passing game, which you have to do. To limit the big plays by these guys, and you can gash that run defense, and obviously run defense up the middle is Oregon's biggest weakness. I think of all the issues this team is trying to deal with right now, run defense, that basic fundamental principle of football, is really got to be the top of the list of things that need to be addressed.
Luke Falk is the quarterback. Gabe Marks, his top target. As you mentioned, they're probably going to throw it as well. This is a team, though, last week, surprisingly, they had 12 first downs rushing, 12 passing, much more balanced attack than you're used to seeing from Washington State. They had over 200 yards on the ground, led by James Williams, who's kind of emerged as a quality running back option for them, averaging over 7 yards per carry in this one. So the defense is going to have its hands full. Now, on the flip side, for Oregon, last year, Royce Freeman had his way with Washington State for 3/4 of the game. He came out of the game. There were a couple series that just didn't go Oregon's way, allowed the Cougars back in it. I think a lot of people in the stadium felt like the game was in hand, and it got out of hand. But up until that point, Royce Freeman, every time he seemed to touch the ball, had success. He's expected to play in this one. I would think that Oregon, if they're going to win this game and have success, they're going to have a heavy dose of Royce once again.
Yeah, and that was a career day for him, and I think he's got to be chomping at the bit to get back out there, not just against this defense, but against anybody after not being able to play last week against Colorado. And make no mistake, I think we've talked about this, that series at the end of the first half at Nebraska that proved so critical in tilting the scales toward the Cornhuskers. Last week, in the goal line situation, the Ducks had to potentially try to win that game against Colorado. Those are times you wanted to have Royce Freeman for as well as the other backs have been running. An NFL quality guy maybe changes the mindset a little bit for both teams. You can't devalue the impact that getting him back would have. On the other hand, the other guys have looked good, particularly Tony Brooks-James, a guy I think we've talked about since preseason camp. As we thought somebody who looked really good and ready to step into a role. So it's good to know too that you don't need to lean entirely on Royce. That there's capable options behind him too. So if he needs to kind of be eased back in, he can be. But you want to ride him as much as you possibly can because he's a elite back.
This is an important game for Dakota Prukop as well, coming off of a difficult interception at the end of the Colorado game, sealing the victory for the Buffaloes. Had a rough Saturday night. he seems to have bounced back this week in practice. He's ready to get back out there, and just from a confidence standpoint, I think it's important for him to get back on the field and do some things in a game.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him hit some throws early. That interception against Colorado, I think, really weighed on him. We saw that in the locker room after the game. We heard in some comments from him this week leading up to this one against Washington State. He's third in the conference in passing efficiency. He leads the conference in passing efficiency in the second half of games. I mean, his third quarter numbers are just obscene. But it would be nice to see the Ducks get off to a better start. They haven't been getting off to great starts all year. It'd be nice to see Dakota get off to a good start, lead a scoring drive right off the bat, hit a couple balls, really totally flush that last passing attempt against Colorado and get some momentum right off the bat for the Ducks.
I don't know if there's a team in the country that has a schedule where they face two more rabid crowds to start the season on the road than the Oregon Ducks. Sold out Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, their 350th consecutive sellout. I mean, just a great atmosphere for college football. Then they go into Martin Stadium, a smaller stadium, but those fans are jacked up. This game has been sold out before the season even started. They know what happened a couple years ago up there where Marcus Mariota basically had to be perfect to beat them. He had more touchdown passes than incompletions in that game. And then last year, winning and snapping a long Oregon winning streak against them here at Autzen Stadium. So just a night game. I mean, it's going to be wild in Pullman.
Yeah, two very diverse situations. As you say, Nebraska was 90,000 people saying, hey, we're happy to have you. Go Huskers. Washington State's going to be like a third of that. Boo Oregon. Definitely going to be an anti-Oregon crowd. But let's not overlook the fact they're 1-2. This is a program, they've had some off-the-field issues. They've got huge question marks about themselves right now. So, I think, as much as they'd like to beat Oregon, they'd probably just like to beat anybody right now, just like the Oregon game. This reminds me from just sort of an outside narrative point of view, kind of like the Nebraska game, where two teams come in with sort of similar things on the line. In that case, it was, hey, establish yourself as a legitimate top 25 team, or kind of remain outside the bubble of the national conversation. This one is all about, hey, somebody's season is going to kind of get headed back the right direction just a little bit. The loser of this game is really going to be asking a lot of hard questions next week.
This is going to be a fun one. We'll be up there to cover it, and then we'll be back with you to wrap things up on Monday of next week. Until then, if you have questions for us, Mac and Mose, I'm at McNamara UO. He is at Duck Football. We'll see you.